everyone, welcome back to New Slang. I am music journalist Thomas Mooney. I hope you all had a great and wonderful New Year's weekend. Me personally, nothing too crazy here, but yeah, it was solid. I won't bore you with all of the details. Yeah, this episode right here, it's episode 151, the first episode of 2021, and it is with Nashville by way of Georgia singer-songwriter Molly Parden. Not that each of these podcasts needs an origin story or like an introduction to where I first heard this artist, but I guess the first time I heard Molly, she was on this song called Easier by the band Sons of Bill back in 2018. It was from this album called Oh God Ma'am. It's really like one of my favorite records of the last 20 years or so. Just a gorgeously written and sounding album. And that song Easier, that's just kind of like the epitome of that album. Like I said, just some of these incredibly gorgeous sonic textures. And then of course, from there I had to go back and check out her own solo material and just really enjoyed her songwriting and her style, which on this podcast right here, we talk primarily about her latest EP called Rosemary. She released it back in the fall. It's just mesmerizing and has these really gorgeous moments built around Molly's intimate songwriting and her stunning vocals. I also just love the space and how a lot of the songs breathe. You get these little moments, these little pockets of reflection, I feel. Like I said, these songs, they just kind of breathe. And one of the standouts is this song called Kitchen Table. It's soft and dreamy, and she highlights all these things that make up a relationship and the dissolvement of a relationship, and how you can just kind of take all that, for lack of a better term, the monotony and like the routine for granted. The ordinary suddenly shifts because there's this obvious void. And with Kitchen Table, she essentially breaks down this breakdown. How she held out for a moment, she kept herself composed, but eventually all that pressure, it mounts and it becomes too much. So you just break down. There's these lines about how she knows she's better off without you, but how those days, they're off in the future. And in a lot of respects, well, that really just doesn't do any good for you in the present. Anyway, I really enjoyed speaking with Molly about her writing process and kind of what this year has been like. Today's presenting partner is our pals over at Desert Door Texas Soto. If you're asking yourself what exactly Desert Door or a Soto is, well, it's a premium, high-quality spirit that is similar to a tequila or a mezcal, but in my estimation, it's more refined, smooth, and fragrant. It has a distinct and intriguing palate that picks up on hints of vanilla and citrus while maintaining a healthy earthiness that is quite enjoyable. One of my favorite features about Desert Door is just how versatile it really is. If you want to feel fancy and a little highbrow, it's perfect for a variety of cocktails that call for lime wedges and coarse salt, chopped ginger, agave nectar, sprigs of thyme and sticks of cinnamon. If you're down to muddle some fresh fruit, all that kind of stuff, it's perfect. It's great for experimentation and fine-tuning all of your mixologist skills. And then also, if you're a little bit more down home and casual, you got that denim jacket on. It's just perfect for those short and sweet, simple go-to favorites that hit the mark every time. I'm talking about ranch waters and Moscow mules and palomas and Mexican Coca-Cola with Desert Door. What I love so much about Desert Door is just how genuine and authentically West Texan they are as well. They go out and harvest Soto plants out in the wild and are aware and knowledgeable conservationists at heart. So next time you're at your neighborhood liquor store, get yourself a bottle of Desert Door. I'll throw a link into the show notes for more information. Before we actually get into the conversation, I'd be remiss if I did not mention that the Neon Eon, it officially starts Wednesday, January 6th. That's just 2 days from now. If you aren't sure what the Neon Eon is, well, it's this 90s country focused podcast that I started. It's mainly going to be conversations with songwriters and artists of that era. The first episode is with Clay Walker. There's already a short teaser episode out where I talk a little bit more about what the podcast is, and there's this ever so short preview of the Clay Walker episode tacked on to the very end. I encourage you to go check that out. Subscribe over there. Tell all your friends and family and coworkers and just anyone who you think would enjoy it. And much like New Slang, you'll be able to find the Neon Eon on all your major and minor podcasting platforms: iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Pandora, Amazon Music, and there's obviously a lot more out there. It's going to be on all of them. I kind of prefer you listening to it on iTunes, but I get it. If you want to listen somewhere else, be my guest. Which it may not be showing up on iTunes right as this episode is out, but trust me, I promise it's going to be on there. I'll throw all relevant links into the show notes. Okay, let's get on into the actual interview. Here is Molly Parden. So, I guess let's just start off with the obvious. Like, you put out an EP just about a month ago called Rosemary, and I guess I read that initially you were thinking of putting a full length out versus the EP, but then with just this year being this year, you decided to go the EP route and split it up.
Yes.
What went into deciding to split it up, and how did you figure out where that split was?
Well, it was pretty easy. I just kind of decided to release all of the singles that I had previously released. I decided to lump them all into an EP so that I had released 3 singles from the record before I really had a release plan. I just wanted to put new music out, stay on the scene. And then the 4th song that ended up being on my first EP was a re-recording of an older song that had already been released. So I just wanted Rosemary to be all brand new songs that no one had ever heard except at a live show.
Yeah.
And that helped me decide how to split it up.
Yeah, because I find like this year's just been so obviously difficult and frustrating, especially when you're an artist. And I know it's challenged a lot of people's plans on what they were going to be doing this year. And, a lot of people, they put off the records or they've changed their release plans. So I don't know. I find I guess with you putting it out as 2 EPs as, I guess what I'm saying is I've not really heard of a lot of people doing that, though. I can recall for a lot of artists in the past doing more EP based releases versus albums, and I don't know if and you mentioned just kind of, if you're releasing EPs, typically you're releasing them at more frequently than a record, and just kind of staying more in the, just, I don't know how to say it, other than just staying relevant in people's,
staying on the radar.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that something that because you have released a lot of material in spaces. Is that something that you are typically kind of concerned with?
No, it does not concern me. I have partnered with a digital distributor who found me in one of my weakest moments musically, when I had no idea what I was doing, and I didn't know. I had these 4 songs, I didn't know how to release them. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know, and he came to me and took me under his wing, offered me his. He just took me on as a client, and so I've really looked to him for advice and really trusted his advice. And so he has encouraged me to steadily as I can, release songs, 1 at a time, 3 at a time. The smaller the body of work, the easier it will be to digest for today's music consuming person. in this Spotify dominated world, streaming dominated music world. So that, I still want to release albums, and I want to release large bodies of work that tell a story that's longer than like 5 minutes. But if this is the way that I need to play the game, then I'll play it because I love music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, like, I wonder just, like, I think sometimes, like, I love a record. I'll say that. Like, I think everyone loves an album. But sometimes, like, I wonder if you're just thinking in that way, that it can be where, I guess, like, what I'm saying is, like, we've heard plenty of albums that are, there's like 4 or 5 great songs, and then the rest is not up to the same level. And I think, like, sometimes it can be a hindrance for an artist to, some ideas are just EPs, or some, like, themes are just in that format, I feel. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the things that really grabbed me that I found really, really interesting was in that Forbes article about you, about how your writing process is, just, it can take years to write a song. I don't know, like, I feel like so often a lot of artists, they talk about how quickly songs can come. I guess, like, can you talk a little bit more about that, about how, like, a song can just kind of be worked on over the course of years, or like or an idea, and, like, can you, I guess, talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. I told myself about a decade ago that I didn't want to make music unless it made me happy. And I started to realize that I was a slow songwriter, and kind of resolved to have a non-musical line of work to pay my bills, so that music could be I don't need to do in order to make money. I didn't want it to be my slave, because I just realized how putting a time crunch on a song really hurt it, when it came to me creating the music. So I have just told that story to myself for the last decade, that I write songs slowly. And only recently have I realized that I can do things to speed up the process. But still, it seems like my preferred way to come to any sort of musical conclusion is to let ideas simmer. I just like it. I like that things take a long time, and I don't mind waiting. So I'm thinking of probably 2 different songs of mine that were written over the course of about 3 years. And I just didn't, before they were finished, I really enjoyed the notion of the song as it was, but I knew that it wasn't complete, so I just kept tinkering with it. Anytime I would make time to work on my songs. I didn't always make time. I think that's one of the reasons why it has taken a long time for me to grow my song collection. Because for a long time, I would just rely on inspiration just striking, because
Mm-hmm.
it did a lot of times. And I thought to myself, well, I don't need to practice at this. I don't need to set aside time during my week because it'll just come to me. So thankfully, I have learned that that's not always the case. And but anyways, these two songs that I'm thinking of that have taken a couple years to write, they just weren't ever great until I finally put the stamp of approval on them. They were okay, but some lines would make me like roll my eyes. Or I don't know, a melody wasn't quite right or a chord wasn't interesting enough. So I just kept it around and kept toying with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's really this weird thing with art and creation about, you talk about like the inspiration, being inspired to write a song and kind of just riding that wave. But then also like structure helps in a lot of ways too, where you do, I guess, set that time to be, I guess, aware. Let inspiration come in, even if it takes a minute to come in.
Mm-hmm.
I think like you can apply that to a lot of things in life. Of if you're just like, I mean, I think like we just in general romanticize the, it's so effortless to do anything, and I just got good at it naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'm the exact same way as far as thinking like, oh, I can just write this, or I can do this without needing to, practice or like set some time aside. So it's really interesting seeing how, it takes part of both, I guess. Like that structure and that just inspiration.
Yes. I enjoyed both. I mean, I used to not enjoy practicing because it was probably just me being prideful. I was like, oh, I can do this. I don't need to practice. I've got the bug.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a nice humbling moment when I realized that I needed to practice too.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's just, I think it goes to that whole just, you hear stories about, oh, this person wrote, I guess like a great example is how, like Dolly Parton wrote "I'll Always Love You" and Jolene the same day, and it's like, that's an incredibly amazing day for one artist, but then like, like that doesn't happen for everyone, and then like how rare is that just in general? If we like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like it's this. I don't know if you can, and I would expect her to also mention or say like, you can't rely on that part, just like just the chances of that happening.
Sure.
So.
And those weren't the first two songs she ever wrote. Like,
right. Yeah.
it wasn't just like Dolly Parton was born and when she was 5 years old, or when she turned 21, she wrote these two songs.
Yeah.
She probably worked her butt off doing other things and just living life, and then everything led to that one moment, that one day where she wrote those songs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I find like that what you mentioned, just the, I guess like the life experience of a songwriter. I think like so often early on, like you just rely on like the piss and vinegar of like the excitement of just writing a song, and you can do a lot of great work that way. Just like trying to capture that raw emotion of when you're young and just thinking like it's new, it's fun still. But then like, I always try and remind myself that like a lot of your favorite songwriters didn't like start writing like the songs that you consider your favorite until they're much older.
Mm-hmm.
This episode of New Slang is brought to you by the Blue Light Live here in Lubbock, Texas. Blue Light has undoubtedly been my home away from home over the years and has played such a vital role not only for my development as a journalist, but obviously it's been one of the foundational pieces for a lot of your favorite songwriters and bands who have made it out of the Lubbock area over the years. And of course, as a music venue, they've played such a pivotal role for a lot of your favorite bands just in general. One of my favorite parts about Blue Light is just how versatile the place can truly be. I've seen it crowded and rowdy on a Saturday night for a rock and roll band, and I've seen it dead still on a Wednesday when a legendary singer-songwriter rolls through town. What you should do is go over to bluelightlubbock.com and check out all the new merch they've added. Hats, t-shirts, both short and long sleeve. They also have hoodies and koozies and just added some sweatshirts that are very much an homage to the college sweatshirt that John Belushi wore in Animal House. And then of course, maybe the crown jewel of their new merch is the Varsity Club style jacket in blue satin. I got one the other day, and yeah, it's just one of my favorite things I own now. And yeah, I don't know, I just love it. Anyway, you can check out all of their new merch over at bluelightlubbock.com. As always, I'll throw a link into the show notes for easy access. Okay, let's get back to the show. You mentioned like the whole like marinating process, like just like letting it simmer. How often is it like where you just kind of, I guess like, you know, like these songs, these ideas, they don't just, I guess, does it go hand in hand with, I guess, with the attacking them like right when you get the idea, or how often is it where it is just lasting for a long time and you're just kind of creating it all in your mind before picking up pen and paper?
You know, every song is a little different. The way that it is born, the way that it comes to me. I have a couple songs that have all of the elements have been there at the same time. They, presented themselves to me simultaneously, and I was able to work with the words and the melodies for a couple days or like 15 minutes, and there it was. And those songs make me really mad because I'm just kidding. They don't. But those are really cool moments. I love those moments. I wrote a song this spring that it just came to me when I sat down to sing the song, and when I sat down to just play something, and it wasn't, there weren't phrases that I had been thinking a lot. It was just a phrase that came to me, and I was like, that is what I'm feeling. That is what I'm like trying to sing to myself right now. So I just followed it, and I really liked the structure of this first verse that came to me. So I wrote two other ones that sounded like it. But then other songs, like another song that I wrote this year, a melody came to me as I was listening to my friend's instrumental music. He plays instrumental piano music. It's so beautiful. It's called Boone River. I was listening to that a lot, and actually I was listening to some instrumental piano music from Oberhofer, and I heard Oberhofer's tracks are a bit more non-linear than Boone River. Boone River has like stuff that is repetitive, but Oberhofer's music is just kind of like, well, like I said, non-linear. So I heard a melody in the piano that he was playing, and I sang something to it, and then out comes this. No, I'm sorry. I sang something to it, and I found chords that went really well with it, and I actually I mean, I loved it. It was beautiful, but I had no idea what words would do justice to that melody. So I just kind of recorded it and put it in my phone, and I would listen to it over and over and over, and still like no words seemed like sacred enough for that melody. So a couple months later, I pull out a notebook of writings that I've collected, not a lot, maybe like 10, over the last year. And I just kind of skimmed through the words. I do these like 10-minute free writes where I just set a timer for 10 minutes and write. That's one of the exercises that I try to do. So this year has been a lot more writing than actually composing songs. But anyways, I pulled out one of my free writes from last October, and I paired it with this song that I had come up with, and it fit so well. So I worked at it for the rest of the day, and yeah, it's probably one of the best songs I've ever written.
Yeah, I love like the free writing stuff.
Me too.
I've seen a lot of, or I've not seen. I guess like I'm trying to think of. I talked with someone earlier this year who was on my podcast who mentioned them getting into more like free writing stuff, and how that just kind of, again, it's kind of like massaging that part of the brain, and where you don't have to. You're not putting so much pressure on making it all rhyme at the beginning, you know? Like,
Yes.
even if you don't end up using it for a song, like, I think it's like all part of the process.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So you, 10 minutes, like, how often do you do that?
Well, not often enough to like tell you a schedule. But I just made a goal of doing 2 a week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, that's still a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Especially opposed to the alternative, you know, of just not doing it. You mentioned like the 2 songs, you had like 2 songs in your head that you were the ones like that were in that 3-year kind of period. What were those songs, or are those songs?
Yeah, Sail on the Water and Weather.
Yeah. So like with Weather, I mean, you did that one previously, and then you have like the new Weather 2020 version. What went into like deciding to re-record it, and I guess like that's I don't know, I don't have anything other than just like that question, I guess.
Yeah. Why? Like, what made me decide to re-record it?
Yeah, like what was it that made you? Was there anything like specifically that you were like, that was urging you to re-record?
Mostly just my vocal performance. It is, yeah, I wanted to tone down the drums and my voice. I wanted to employ a softer vocal delivery. And I just think it's such a cool song that I wanted to let it live again with yeah, just a different performance all around. I use the same guitarist and harmony vocalist, but everything else is different.
Was that something that was just like kind of always bothering you, or?
I mean, it didn't like keep me up at night, but yeah, I just it's one of my it's my most popular song on Spotify, and I just cringe at the thought of someone like I tell someone about my music and they're like, can I find you online? I'm like, yeah, totally. And they look me up on Spotify and go to the top, they listen to my 5 most popular songs, and the first thing they hear is me like squeaking out a song. So I wanted to try to change that. Yeah, so it's really just my pride again, dictating my career moves.
Yeah, I have a friend who, I guess, like they're this band called Rattlesnake Milk, and they put out a record back in like 2014, and then like their newest one just came out this year. And my friend who's like the lead vocalist he said, anytime they'd play, they were playing all the new songs, and like since like let's just say for the last 3 years, they're all the new songs that were on this new record, and of course like people were asking him, oh, like do you guys have anything online? And he's would always hesitate to say yes, because he's like, I know that they're going to go and listen to the first record because it's the only thing that's out, and they're going to be thoroughly disappointed. And so then you're just kind of like explaining, yes, but wait another couple months, and then of course like I don't know. It's just one of the. I think like sometimes, it's human nature to do so, but like I think sometimes you guys worry about that too much.
Oh, for sure. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Absolutely we do.
Because like I don't know, like it's the same thing as like whenever you're playing live, and let's say there's like a little hiccup here or there or whatever, and most of the time like no one in the audience realizes unless you point it out yourself.
Yep.
So it's that, or it's the what I think is always, I don't like when people do this is I mean I say that, but when they say this is a new song like that I wrote, especially if they say like this is a new song I wrote today, so don't like judge me too hard or anything like that.
Oh
You're
my
just
gosh,
kind of like taking, like no one's going to like say, oh, well, this is a horrible song. I guess like you're more, you think you're like taking the pressure off of the song, but like what you're doing more so is like allowing them to go to the bar.
Right.
So I don't
know.
my
gosh, you're right. That's funny.
Yeah. One of the things that I really have like appreciated about a lot of your songs and like the sonic palette is that it feels like you really appreciate space. When it comes to like the arrangements and stuff like that, how often is that, like, I guess in your how often are you thinking about that when you're actually like writing the song?
Well, space for what?
Well, like for like obviously other instruments, but I guess like what I'm saying is, are you thinking of like other instrumentation when you're writing, when it's just you and an acoustic guitar, or if you're on a piano or whatever the case is?
Actually, no, I don't think about other instruments a lot. So yeah, any space that you hear is likely thanks to my producers. And not that they've had to like take any lyrics out or anything. But yeah, I rely pretty heavily on collaborating with the people that I choose to take the production reins when it comes to my recordings. Also, I just like I like quietness more than I like loudness. And I like when there's a break in art, when there's a break in a song, when you're not just being bombarded with with a vocal performance or with a guitar solo. So I try to put that in my songs so that I will enjoy listening to my own music.
This episode of New Slang is brought to you by Hot Damn Coffee. Rolling in from the hills of eastern Tennessee is Hot Damn Coffee. It's a down-home company that roasts single-origin, high-quality coffees from around the world. Their year-round roasts come from certified farms in Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Nicaragua. Check out the Hot Damn website over at hotdamn.coffee. There you can find more info on their operation and roasting process and some helpful tips on how to brew the best cup of coffee. They've certainly made my mornings that much better. And to be perfectly honest, I enjoy a nice cup of coffee at all hours of the day. Some of my favorites have been the Tanzanian pea berry in medium roast and the medium roast of Nicaraguan with the honey process. While there, check out their Hot Damn Coffee Club, which is a monthly subscription service. With the holiday season coming upon us, it's just really kind of the perfect gift. I don't care how difficult or easy a person is to shop for, they'll always be good with items like high quality coffee. And of course, right now, if you throw in the promo code SLANG in all caps, that's SLANG, you'll get 20% off your order. And if you're signing up for the Coffee Club subscription service, they'll take 20% off that first month and also throw in a bonus 8-ounce bag of their Nicaraguan coffee. Again, that's SLANG in all caps. Head over to hotdamn.coffee and sign up today. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, I think that I guess like a lot of people are uncomfortable with silence or what they consider dead space or something like that. And I don't know. I feel like you have to approach silence as part of it's a sound too.
Yes.
So like I guess like from what I love about it so much is it kind of gives you like that time to think about what was happening before. You know?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. You're not immediately it's not sensory overload. You have time to reflect on what just happened. I like that a lot.
Yeah, where it's like what I'm thinking about too is like whenever you're at like a show or something and your friend's like, "Oh, listen to this next line," and like they're just talking over that line.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna love this. Right. It's coming up like right now, and then like they're just talking right over.
Oh, I miss shows. I miss being talked over at shows.
Yeah. I know that's like I've asked a few people that about, like, no one's been playing shows and like, do you miss like just even like the like being talked over or like the heckler or like,
No, actually, I don't at all.
I kind of figured
That's
out.
such a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
Such a belittling feeling.
I wonder though if in I don't know. I don't know if this is like just a half like thought out theory, but I wonder if like, of course, like whenever shows come back and you're able to like go and listen to a performance and all that kind of stuff, people are going to appreciate it right out the gate because it's something that they haven't had. But I wonder if like also they're going to like be way more familiar with your catalog, especially of like new songs because they've been at their house. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if like you're going to have just more intentional listeners, I guess.
I see. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I don't know if like this year is just, I don't know. It's weird because like I'm down here in Texas, and in some cases like people are just acting like it's not any different than any other year. And we've had a lot more shows than probably like the average state, but also like a lot more cases of. So it's obviously really frustrating.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that, I don't know, like I'm typically like really pessimistic about things, but I don't know. I feel kind of, I don't know. I feel like we're going to be okay after this. Like it's like, I think people are going to be like a little bit more, like they're going to realize just how resilient they are, I guess. I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you're
nothing like a virus to turn a pessimist into an optimist.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess we can go back to talking about songwriting. One of the things that I really, I guess, like with the song that I kept on going back to and keep going back to is Kitchen Table. I feel like you just really capture like this really, what I would almost kind of describe as like a despondent fog or like a haze. Cause like it feels like you're kind of like on the verge of tears in a lot of ways, but you're kind of like keeping composed at the same time. Can you go a little bit further on into that song? Like what was, I guess kind of like the origin story.
The origin story was I was mulling over the ending of a relationship that I thought would last the test of time. And I was trying to pick up the pieces of my life and figure out how I would make music again and figure out how I would eat breakfast again and look at myself in the mirror when I went to the bathroom and do all of the simple everyday things that used to not really bother me or used to not really require much thought, but it felt like with the exiting of that person from my life, all of those things seemed infinitely harder and less attainable.
Mm-hmm.
And it really just crushed my spirit, and I was trying to put it into words so that I could move on from it, because at that point, songwriting was therapy for me.
Right. Yeah.
It still is in a way, but I rely less on it to process things. Now but at the time, I really, really needed to just say those words and like describe what I was feeling and why I felt so stuck. And that helped me, just putting those thoughts into words and like making it into a song that I could sing, helped me move on from it so much. Not immediately, but after a while.
Yeah, well, like that's, I find that really specifically interesting about how, often, I guess like often, like, songwriting can be therapy. It can be cathartic, right? But also like, it's interesting to see how, some songs are like that, where like you are kind of just, you're taking that raw emotion and putting it into words and song. And then other times, like it takes like already getting past that emotion and just having some distance from that person or event to actually be able to write it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's weird how, and I don't know if that has anything to do with like just, it just being a case by case thing, or it's like just kind of how like you grow as a person, or like if you, I hate to say like if you get used to it or anything, but I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah, there's no concrete rhythm to it. I like that about music and artistic things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
Takes
also. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say, it takes shape as you take shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know. Like I know you always said there's like that. It felt like you're kind of in that despondent fog, but also at the same time, like, it's interesting how you're talking about after this person exits your life, and there's that void, and how like you're trying to figure out how you mentioned like go to the see yourself in the mirror and like eat breakfast and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting to see how all of those everyday tasks become super heightened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've noticed that like there is a lot of that in your writing is like you have like a heightened sense of like awareness, I guess, of like just some of the mundane tasks of just everyday living.
Mm-hmm. I just cherish them. I've grown to cherish them anyway. Because that's where real life happens for me.
Mm-hmm. I think
Yeah,
like oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's not only the mountaintop experiences or the the valley experiences. It's everywhere in between. I think that's where I find the most beauty sometimes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that like I think it can also go back to like what we were talking about earlier about if you're just waiting for inspiration to strike, you can go a long period without writing something.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think it's connected to that because I think that sometimes the job as a writer is to take those ordinary moments and make them a little bit showcase like I guess like the beauty in them or like just even like the sometimes things are special just because they're not special, if that makes sense.
Right.
You know, I guess like I've also read you mentioning how like you're inspired and influenced by some like R&B stuff. I think that like maybe that they like a lot of R&B, especially like if you think about the the delivery of a lot of R&B artists, like is a very heightened sense of emotion as well.
Mm.
I don't know. Do you see that too?
I've never thought that thought. What are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of like anything from like Motown R&B kind of stuff. If you think of like James Brown to like some more like R&B when it comes to like Etta James or someone, or even like in a lot of modern stuff with like Frank Ocean or like even The Weeknd, or I don't know, even more like contemporary, I guess, R&B artist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, I've never thought about that. But I can. um, I would agree.
What was it like? I guess like uh, I didn't just make that up, did I? About like you also like appreciating and liking a lot of R&B stuff, right?
Um, I have such a finite palette of music. Period. And when it comes to R&B and hip hop, it's even smaller. But I have really grown to love Frank Ocean and Solange. and probably like two other people I can't think of. But yes, I'd gravitate toward non folk. I just think R&B is interesting and fun, and I'd rather put a sad song against a fun backdrop than a sad backdrop. So
Yeah. What's kind of like your go-to when it comes to Frank Ocean?
His singles, I really like the singles he put out after Blonde. And then after I listen to those, I would listen to Blonde. I haven't spent a lot of time with what's it called, Channel Orange.
Mm-hmm.
I have not, but yeah, big fan of the singles he put out from like 2017 onward.
Yeah, one of the things I love about, especially like modern R&B, is I think so often like we have like these quote unquote rules about music, or like you have to rely on tradition, and like R&B just kind of like doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like hip hop doesn't care in general. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's this thing where you just don't care. Like even with obviously like with song structure, but even like with time and stuff. Like one of the songs I'm thinking about it is from Channel Orange, but is Pyramids. It's like almost like a 10-minute song, and it's like in two different parts, and like everyone tells you can't do like a 10-minute song,
Yeah, it's like 3 minutes 30 seconds. That's the goal. Mm-hmm. If you want to be on the radio anyway.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm always like way too wordy in general. I don't even know how I could even cut down anything into a song to begin with, but then like trying to cut it down even further into like if I was writing singles, I guess, I don't know. It's just really, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind of I don't give a fuck about what the industry says will make a popular song. I like that attitude. I like how non-linear a lot of Frank's songs are, and that's probably why I like Solange as well.
Yeah, she's like, I think there has to be a part of it why she is so like doesn't give a fuck about that kind of stuff. Has to be because she's sisters with Beyonce, and just being compared that entire time, your entire life, basically. I have to think that like has to play into it. What I kind of remember with, I'm a little bit more familiar with Frank stuff, but I remember whenever, I think he was on the Grammys a couple of years back when Channel Orange was nominated for a Grammy. They all thought he was going to play one of the singles, and during his live performance, and he played, I think it was like Forrest Gump or something like that. And it was just him on stage, and it was just really weird, and people were just so pissed off and like angry and like.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's just like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, they can't make you play something. I don't know. They can't make you play the big singles. I don't know. I personally, I love just like especially again, like the long song. I know like The Weeknd, he's more of a pop star now, but if you go back and like listen to his first 3 mixtapes, each of those mixtapes had like a song on in each of them that were like what I would call kind of like an epic song as far as length goes. They would be like a 10-minute song. And you see that still with Frank as well, but I find that really, really interesting about how you can, just make a song that long and just, again, go with like I feel like there's like that aspect of it being kind of epic or mythic proportion.
This episode of New Slang is brought to you by New Slang. So obviously, you're listening to New Slang right now. That probably means that you enjoy it, or at least you enjoy some of the conversations with the artists that are on here. Well, you may be interested in helping support New Slang a little bit more by doing one of a handful of things. One, stop by our New Slang merch store and order some merch. Right now, there's t-shirts, koozies, buttons, stickers, magnets, and a handful of keychains and the like. Two, if you like New Slang just a little bit more, you can join the New Slang Patreon. What is Patreon? Well, it's like a subscription service. Since New Slang is free, it's a great way to get some extra bonuses and additional content. For example, if you subscribe to the Postcard Pal tier for $5 a month, you'll get ad-free episodes, updates on upcoming guests, and monthly New Slang postcards. The postcards are essentially little mini show posters that I started designing to highlight that month's roster of guests. Like right now, we just ended the month of November, so November's show poster is a denim jacket where all the episode guests are individual buttons pinned to the jacket. Right now, if you sign up for the Patreon, I'll go ahead and make sure you get all the back prints. Again, signing up for the New Slang Patreon or purchasing something from the New Slang merch store are great ways to help support New Slang. Another easy, simple way is to give us a 5-star review over on iTunes and share New Slang with all your friends and family who you think may enjoy New Slang. Links to both the Patreon and the merch store and all of our social media stuff is in the show notes. Okay, let's get back to the episode.
What I was going to, I guess, go back to, though, is like, you mentioned like how like you also have gone into not necessarily being tied to the verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. You've done you've not like been just like married to that, I guess, that format. How freeing is that whenever you kind of like take that off?
Completely freeing. And it helps affirm the notion that I want to make music that I enjoy first and foremost. Like, my music is for me. So I don't care if other people don't like it. I'm doing this like for myself because it's my gift that I have. And I'm lucky. I'm really lucky that people like what I do. But I prioritize my preferences when it comes to crafting a song. So it's really, I never felt that like boxed into that format. Because I've never set up my life in a way that forced music to pay the bills. So I've never felt the need to like write a pop song, write a radio hit. I've never made that a goal. So it's always just been like, cool. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. And it's just 2 verses. I guess that's a song. Like one of my songs I wrote this year is that it's just 2 verses. nothing else. And I have a song on my Rosemary EP called Within a Dream. And for a long time, that was just this little vignette, this little song idea. And then finally, I was like, you know what? Let's just take idea off and call it a song. So we did.
Yeah, like I was going to mention that song being, just very short, a vignette. Yeah, I like that. I always like whenever, and this is like obviously not the same thing, but when there is those, and it goes back to space too, I guess, is like when you do have like those little, I guess, like bookends of a song, or maybe like a prologue to a song, if you will, and it just is something super short before a song. Kind of like, I think one of my friends here in Lubbock, his band, when they were playing live, I think what they were doing initially was doing it because he didn't want to talk to the audience, like not necessarily not talk to the audience, but like just the stage fright of that experience. So what they would do is like they came up with like these little, I don't know, like intros that were not part of like the song initially, and it would be just kind of like sometimes it would have like a line from that song before, or like the song, but it'd be like remixed. I'll say it that way. I'll put it that way.
Sure.
And I thought like it was really, really interesting where like no one was doing that. And they're like a Texas country band. So no one was really ever doing that ever. But I thought it kind of like was interesting to see how it kind of prepped the audience. It kind of got them like understanding like, oh, this song is coming up, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It was this really interesting thing that I've not really seen a lot of people do. Again, especially like in like, Texas country kind of stuff. So,
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's again, like I don't have like any specific examples like I can just like draw to as far as like them doing it or like what they were doing, but like they would just kind of take a line. It wouldn't even necessarily be like a chorus line, but they would just kind of reword it in a way, kind of play it like something that was in the song that was a little different, and then they'd go into the song. And it was always
so there would be singing. It wasn't just instrumental.
Yeah, like sometimes it would just be instrumental stuff, or like sometimes he would like sing like just this something in it, something from the lyrics. Sometimes it was like just the chorus, half of the chorus line, or like sometimes it was a line from the beginning of a verse or something, but it would always be a little bit off. And then it'd only be, these were all like, 35 seconds to like a minute long, kind of like intros. And I just kind of called them like little prologues and like outro kind of things. I don't know. I don't even know if they really even do it anymore. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What I was going to ask though too is like, you've mentioned a lot of these songs that you've been writing this year. How have you like, I guess, done this year as far as the creative process and writing and stuff? Has it been, I don't know if I want to use the word normal, but has it been like the same as like any other, like the previous years, or have you had more time, more space to create, or has it been where you've focused more on some of that other like the free writing stuff to get started on anything?
Well, this year I've focused on my identity outside of music, which in turn has created fodder for my musical side of me. But I would say that I have been quite creative this year. But not directly musically, kind of indirectly for music. But I just know that I take so much inspiration and influence from my life within and without music. So I've tried to prioritize just like life, like reading and trying new coffee and making time to have phone calls with people. What else have I been prioritizing? Just like riding my bicycle or walking, tinkering with houseplants. Yeah, those things have in turn made me creative, I think. So while I haven't been on the road at all, I've still been able to like play music. I can like pick up a guitar or sing whenever I want. Just because I'm not in another state, in a venue doesn't mean that I haven't been creative or musical. I've actually worked on some new, like recording some new songs a couple of times this year, not a lot, but I've probably done 5 or 6 studio like session vocals for other artists. So I have been musically active this year. It's just been a little different. And it's not, well, I don't know what it's not.
Yeah, no, I think that like initially, especially you would see a lot of people online talk about, well, how there's going to be so much great music released out of this. And like, cause oh, you're not on the road. You have plenty of time to write a song or write a record. And I think that like, that's just not really how it works. Like, I don't know if you can't just necessarily be like, okay, these next, it's not like you're locked in a cabin to like write a book or something. I don't know. I found like a lot of songwriters have more done what you're talking about, doing more of the other stuff. I've seen or I've heard of, just like in this podcast stuff, people taking up like painting or like working on writing like short stories or gardening or learning new instruments or cooking, all kinds of stuff like that I think is all can classify as like artistic expression. And that and at the end of the day, like somewhere down the line it's going to help when you write a song. So I don't know, I find that really interesting.
Yeah, it has been interesting.
So I think it's also like it takes a lot of pressure off you from like just again like having to write a song. And it's also like a lot of the like the walking stuff or like riding your bike or that kind of stuff. I feel like a lot of times, just applying it to myself, if I'm doing something around the house and I'm like, I have like an article that I need to get finished or something, sometimes it just takes, doing the dishes or like the laundry to have like those shower thoughts.
Yes.
Time. So.
Yes.
I think that helps.
I think so too. Yeah, that's one reason why I've always, not always, but that's one reason why I enjoyed having a serving gig. I was a waitress for the last decade I was a waitress up until 2 years ago. What am I trying to say? I quit my waitressing job 2 years ago, but before that, I was waitressing for the last 7 years before that. And it was so nice to just kind of go on autopilot and wait tables. And there I was able to do a lot of thinking and a lot of good people watching, and like those shifts created space for me to think about music and just like doing something physical, like walking or carrying or interacting with other people. That all like helps my brain run more smoothly.
It's been really, really great talking to you today.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much for your time and for having me.
All right, thanks so much for listening. That is it for this one. Be sure to check out Rosemary by Molly Parden if you haven't just yet. Go give our presenting partners a visit. That would be Desert Door, The Blue Light Live, and Hot Damn Coffee. All right, hopefully I'll see y'all Wednesday over at the Neon Eon and Thursday for another episode of New Slang.